we're so quick to get to the Bernbo. We're so quick to, man, what can I do? I'm tap you out. Like I think really it's just a matter of just being patient and being present with the training. And there was a time frame during the pandemic where I think PJ, Brandon, and I trained almost together almost every day, and if not every day, for at least a majority of the week, and that was consistent. That was consistent for at least a year, if not more. And those are times that we reflect on. But I think during those times, like, is really where I saw just this idea that you embody, and I think it came back to me when I was listening to your podcast. Just being present, being present in the moment, and just sort of, and Shion, you and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Just embracing just the positivity and the good that's happening, and not really putting anything else to it. And I think when you spoke about that, and when you sort of spoke about your challenges as it relates to just, I hate to use the word sport because I don't really like to refer to jiu-jitsu, but in this context, I will. Like, and jiu-jitsu sort of showing that to you, and then your ability to translate that to your career as a as a New York City police officer, or your friendship with everyone here, or even when you're present at the dojo, when you don't need to be teaching classes, when you don't need to be there on that one day off that you have after 10 days of working. And I think it's great. It's great to see, and it certainly lifts us up, and certainly encourages all of us to really be engaged in the training and be present. So thank you.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Like, what can you articulate? I heard a little bit at the end, and maybe that's the answer I'm looking for, but what experience do you have when PJ is present? Like, what then becomes the relationship, or what then becomes the training, or like when?
Yeah.
Because we talk about being present a lot. Because that's the real. It's the rub of life. It's the kicker. It's everything. It's this moment now, and it kind of seems so fleeting at times, but it really is very important. So, and I heard you say that PJ is present, and it reminded you of that, and it reinforces that in your own practice. What's your experience when someone like PJ is present with you?
It just reels you in. It's like, I need to keep up. I need to be.
It inspires
It's inspiring.
you. Yeah.
I need to be a part of this as well. So that way we're both. I want to be a part of that high, like that runner's high. It's like you're in the zone, and it's just.
It's an interesting way to put it.
Nothing.
Really.
Nothing else matters. You're just there, and so seeing that mid training, it encourages me and inspires me to, like, I want to be in that zone too.
Beautiful. Nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
You want to respond?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Ali, thank you, first off, right? And when it comes to being present, I feel like with some people, it takes a little more effort and a little more sensitivity to kind of find that realm, especially in the training. But with all of you, but since I'm speaking to you directly, Ali, it's always like right there. We're always at the cusp of like a different, just like either a different technique, or we're battling like submission for submission, and it's just back and forth.
It's a rally.
It really feels like a rally. And I like that you described it as like that runner's high, because when the training is so engaging and there's so many different things happening at once, and some things are work, and then you're being faced with a challenge, then you have to come back to it, and all these processes are going on in our head. I think we could all relate to this. It's just so, next thing, it's so entertaining. 4 minutes pass, 5 minutes pass, 6 minutes pass, and then the buzzer goes off, and you're like, where did the time go? Right. And you're standing in line, bowing, and you're like, man, I hope we get to train again. Yeah. And that's the feeling that I get when, what I could imagine is when my partner is present with me in the training too. And I get that with all of you gentlemen, and many.
When I started jiu-jitsu, there was a phrase that got adopted from surfing, and I don't know how to pronounce it in Portuguese, arabenciao or something like that. And it, like when I asked what that meant, Henzo said it's riding the peak of the wave. And like you're so present and you're so with the universe, like you're with the wave, you're with the ocean, you're with the board, you're with you're with the air, you're just there. Like and when he said it to me, I was like, oh, that's profound. That's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle
That's
there.
right.
That's great.
Right. It's so weird when once you're in that
wave,
once you're in that realm, it's like there's like an unlimited source of energy, right?
That's right.
It's like you just don't feel tired. It's not a drag throughout. It's such an interesting feeling. You know?
There's also not a limit on thought and idea. Like you're presently solving problems. You have those ideas are coming. That's really beautifully put. Yeah. Professor Brandon, you want to take a
I'd love to
take a go at PJ's podcast?
I had so many things in mind that I wanted to talk about when it comes to PJ. And as he was answering that question, I think that he hit the point about himself better than I ever could.
Brandon's point, ditto.
Next.
He said he likes to feel such a level of presence that at the end of the round when the bell rings, he goes, wow, I want to do that again. And I think that when I think about PJ, he lives his life like that. And that's very inspiring to imagine coming to the end of our round and going like, wow, like where did the time go because I was so present? That's a good way to live your life.
I love this guy.
And that I think he nailed it. And one of the things that I was thinking about when it comes to PJ's podcast was how like a week ago, I was in the neighborhood that he works in as a police officer, and I just wanted to stop by and say hello because I knew he was going to be around, which speaks to the kind of person that he is to be around. And I was talking to him on the street in front of his precinct, and I was looking at him like, this guy presents like every other, no offense.
Every other perp.
He presents on the surface like most other police officers. Yep. He's young, he's fit, he's, tatted up, all that stuff. But then you talk to him and there's such a depth to him. And I think that's a great quality that the martial arts gives the every person, the police officer, the mailman, the whatever. Like you can also have this great depth to you and access it, but also live your life on the surface level and be successful and be happy and all those things and have this great depth. And that's what to me came out on the podcast. Like you ask this guy a question and he just gives you access to some of that depth that he has, and he's so introspective and so loving and so kind and so sweet. And I think that comes to the surface in everything that he chooses to do. And I think it came through in that podcast as well. And that's what came through the podcast to me. That's what I love about him so much.
I'm reminded when I'm listening to you, it's a very, like, in my opinion, I'm not Japanese, but that is a very Japanese way. It's like you have this outward appearance, and then behind that is a level of depth that people can't even imagine. The mastery, the level of self-reflection, the level of commitment, the level of work, the level of everything is so deep, it's so profound. And I don't think it's uniquely Japanese, as PJ, is attesting to, or like is an example of, but it is one of the qualities that I love about Japanese culture, the people. It's very, very profound. And I don't think that the martial arts gave that to you, PJ, but I certainly I would like to believe that it helped foster it even more. It gave it more life. It gave it more air to breathe. And, the people around you are certainly benefiting from it.
Yeah, I definitely, just to touch on that real quick, I feel like what you said is pretty accurate. There was, through my own personal experience before I walked into the martial arts school, I think there was a level of that, like, just always having getting satisfaction out of giving the best part of me, right? But in the martial arts, in the dojo, that in our organization that we're with specifically, we're always greeted with new people in an environment that sometimes doesn't, at face value, there's this conception that it's probably not safe, right? High impact, people probably think they walk into the dojo, they're gonna get knocked out. And I've always felt like an obligation to make sure people felt safe, especially in the dojo. Make sure that first day is like, don't worry, you could survive your first day. We come here every day and we do this, and we come back the next day and the next day and we do this. So the martial arts definitely reinforces that and adds more fuel to that fire. And Brandon, the reason why, like, I had to say I love you is because your perspective is so unique. Talk about the end of, and it will happen to us all, right? We're all human. We're gonna get to the end of the figurative round, and there's really one of two ways to look at it, right? It's like, wow, what a ride. Wish I could do it again. Or it's like, man, I wish I did all these different things, but XYZ, and then you're just gone. Well, so that was so profound, man.
You said it.
But that's it, and you do it's so interesting. That's literally like what this is like enhancing the experience for one another, in ways that we don't even know is possible. It was one sentence, and you added one more sentence to it, and boom, the whole perspective, the whole meaning of that changed. So thank you. I love all you guys a whole lot. I really do. And maybe it is very Japanese, right, to have that that outward that outward portrayal and so much such complexity behind you.
Did you watch Shōgun? You did or you didn't?
No. I'm the worst when it comes to movies. I watch the same 10 movies over.
Listen, I don't...
TV show.
I've never seen Game of Thrones. I've never seen Breaking Bad. I've never seen any of that. None of it. I think the last series that I watched with any kind of interest before Shōgun was The Sopranos in like the late 90s. Shows you how interested I am in that stuff. But Shōgun is very powerful. And I think one of the quintessential lines in it is like, a person has 3 hearts. One he shows the public, one he tells himself, and the secret heart. Like the thing nobody knows. And that, to me, it's just so layered and so deep. And the series revolves a little bit about that, like how there's so many ways in which the Shōgun is plotting and planning, and then at the end you get to see his secret heart. And it's so wild and so deep and so amazing. I'm not a Nihonophile. I certainly don't know a lot about Japanese culture, and I don't like to romanticize things other than the things I like to romanticize about, like karate, my sensei. Those things I certainly do enjoy because they were profound for me. So there are problems associated with all cultures, all different, paradigms and stuff like that, though that is something that I find very valuable and very interesting. When I went to Japan, the last time I went to Japan, I stayed. My host had a restaurant below the apartment that I was staying in. So she would cook breakfast and dinner for me, which was amazing. And it was the best food. It was so good. And we would sit at the end of the night at dinner, and we would talk. And she had said, she admired Western culture so much because it was vast. And she said, Japanese culture is so narrow but deep. Western culture is vast but kind of shallowish. And I said to her that was my goal to teach in the martial arts, was an amalgamation of the vastness of Western experience and the depth of Japanese mentality. And she went, and I said, yeah, that's kind of what I'm after. And to have that with you all, you're dynamic men, you're dynamic people, and you have a depth to you. Each one of you have a depth to you that's so fascinating and so interesting and so beautiful and really important. Another one of the things that I don't want to make this about me, though I think it's you all exemplify this point. I don't think I gave it to you, but it is something that I enjoy witnessing about all three of you. And the thing that I've been trying to kind of communicate to the people in my sphere of influence, the students, is that we're much more dynamic than we're slotted to be. We're like manhood or I said in the last podcast, I say it all the time, I'm not going to pretend to know about womanhood. I'm not going to talk about it. I can't relate. I just would never even be that much of an asshole to assume that I knew anything about it. That's why I keep coming back to this manhood. If women are listening and they can glean something from it, I'm grateful, though I can't speak from that perspective. All that being said, a lot of times we are very slotted. The martial arts will do that too. It'll make us, jiu-jitsu in its nature has us contract. The body movements it's a very contracted state. And mentally you're always trying to connive someone in a way. Get one over. In a lot of jiu-jitsu environments, it's very much like that. So what that does to the mentality of the practitioner is you become this contracted, manipulative thing. And I don't want to go through life like that. And I certainly don't want to spend my time with people like that. And that's an example of, I think, the ways in which, we fall into these roles. They go unchecked. And then after a certain amount of time, you end the round and you go, man, that was terrible. I'm not the guy I want to be, or I messed this up. And so I keep trying to kind of alert people. And, my expression is, I know it's very challenging. Brandon and I talk about this all the time. My expression of freedom, a lot of people don't get. A lot of, the wife beater. I was joking about it when we saw each other today. You got a wife. She goes, put on a polo, a nice pair of shorts, and show up like a dignified gentleman that you are. I show up I got a glow-in-the-dark hat.
I'd rather be wearing that.
No, that's not true. No. Mrs. Tanveer, I'm sorry, I had nothing to do with that. So how I perceive that comment, though, is that you see me. You're able to see oh, that's just his expression. And that's how he chooses to express his uniqueness, his freedom in the world. And I say this to all of you, yours doesn't have to be like mine, but it does have to be dynamic. It cannot be limited. And the martial arts and I don't think life, maybe I'm drawing too close of a parallel, but I certainly don't think that the martial arts wants you to perceive yourself in any limited fashion. It just is not calling for that. But a lot of us, we fall into that. So all that being said, it's really beautiful to see the depth and also the width, the broadness that my host was talking about. Like there's an amalgamation, there's a integration that is like, if I'm going to use this analogy, it's not actually accurate, but it'll paint, like if I was painting a picture, I would paint you three. It's a bullseye. It nails it. Good men, loving men, tough as nails, like a spirit, a tiger spirit, a loving spirit. All of it is integrated, and all of it's in the world operating and functioning. That's not only serving each one of you, but serving everybody that you come in contact with in the martial arts, legally, in your marriage, in the martial arts, as a police officer, as a husband, as a boyfriend, or as a brother, as a son. I mean, you can just hit every point. And like, I believe, I'm sure you all have challenges. I'm sure you all are thinking, oh, well, I fall short here, sometimes there. That's all part of this. But I believe you're certainly hitting those marks well. And I want to inspire other people to have that courage, to live in a free way. And certainly the martial arts, the physical element gives us that. Like, oh, I don't have to be afraid of my own shadow, so I can actually have a little bit more freedom to express myself. And it doesn't have to be this, I don't know what, narrowness. It doesn't have to be this pissing contest. Maybe is a good way to put it.
Yes.
So thank you, men. I appreciate the space to express all of that. And at the end, I was sitting here going, and I never really do that, is just shut up. Just shut up. Don't say a thing. They're doing great. Like, let them have the space, because it's unfolding beautifully. And I thank you all for that. I thank you for the podcast that you did. I thank you for this evening. And just thank you for being a wonderful part of my experience. I'm the beneficiary completely.
Thank you, Shion.
Thank you,
Thank
Shion.
you.
We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com, or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or thegentleartpodcast.com.